Hey, thanks so much for clicking on this video and welcome to the Haves and the Have-Nots review here on YouTube. If you're a fan of Tyler Perry, you've come to the right place. Be sure to click that subscribe button as well as the bell notification icon. That way you don't miss out on any new content on the channel. And also check me out on these social media platforms, and links in the description below will lead you to my Twitter, Instagram, Facebook group, and Facebook page. Once again, thanks for joining in and enjoy the video. All right, Have and Have-Not fans. Now wow. Literally, I'm taken aback by how often people get into heated discussions about the recent Benny shooting and whether or not it was Hannah's fault. I already did a video giving my thoughts on it. I mean, at first glance of the episode, I'm like, Hannah, this is your fault. But then after thinking about it, no, it wasn't her fault. Benny had this coming. But the bigger question as a result of the shooting is whether or not this is going to bring Hannah and Candace closer. I mean, the obvious answer is yes, because you would think, once again, with the one person that they're linked to, like, you can make the argument that if Benny wasn't even in existence, that Candace and Hannah would probably never cross paths again. I mean, arguably, Quincy Jr. may never have been found, and remember that he had lupus, but then he also had a bunch of lashings on his back, and I believe the doctor said that they were infected, that if Quincy Jr. wasn't brought to the hospital when he was, there may have been a good chance that he would have died not too long from that point. So yeah, it could be argued that if Benny was never around, then Quincy Jr. would have been dead. Hannah wouldn't have known. She would have just still been going on about where's my grandson, and then, you know, her and Candace would have never spoken again. But I do feel like Benny's situation, I don't think that alone will bring those two closer together. I do feel like Charles and maybe even Derek will play a part in helping those two get together, because Derek and Charles are both aware that Candace sent a thug over to I guess you could say rough up her own mother in order to get money that wasn't hers. But I think that in recent events, it's time to bury the hatchet, no pun intended, like literally. I feel like drama like this can only be stretched out for so long. Like, don't get me wrong, I know that there are a lot of reasons these two don't talk. I mean, on one side of the camp, you got people talking like Hannah's way too self-righteous and a hypocrite, and she obviously plays favorites with her kids. And then on the Candace side, it's like, look, she was raped when she was younger by one of the men that Hannah was seeing. And, you know, Hannah always assumes the worst about Candace and yada, yada, yada. And this isn't like a Candace hate video. This isn't a Hannah hate video. But to be completely honest, I really do hope these two will at least come somewhat together. But I do feel like when it comes down to it, Candace needs to make the first move, because despite everything Hannah has done or hasn't done as a mother, she has always been the one. And I really cannot wait until the show has its marathon starting on the 27th, because I know some people don't have a Hulu account. I know some people haven't seen, you know, every single episode of the series. But to those people who are Team Candace and say that, you know, Hannah's the one that's always wrong, keep in mind that Hannah has been the one on multiple occasions, not only to express the fact that she loves her daughter, but also to ask for forgiveness. Candace has always been the one to slap, you know, her hand away and whatnot. Yes, I do know that on a couple of occasions, like, hey, after she took the $7.4 million from Jim, she bought the car that Erica sold to Benny, which Candace knew Benny would give to Hannah, because she knew Hannah wouldn't take the car from her, because, well, not only would Hannah assume the worst, but she would also know that any huge amount of money that fell into Candace's lap obviously was gained through ill-gotten sources, which she was absolutely right with. And, you know, and one could make the argument, well, what about in season 1 when, you know, she gave that money to Benny in order to pay back the the mortgage on the house, so they didn't foreclose on it. Even though it was Hannah's house, I feel like that was more of a payback to Benny, because Benny was the one that took out the mortgage on the house to give to Candace in her situation. So she was pretty much repaying the offer, because at that point Benny had actually given up on Candace, and for good reason. But I feel like you know, if you go back and look at all those situations, Hannah has always been the one to explain, to Benny, how Candace got raped when she was younger. She obviously more recently told the story about how Candace was conceived as a baby of rape. And in all those situations, Candace pretty much just threw her mother out of the house. So, I mean, out of the hotel room she was in and, out of the house, because at one point she was in a house. But I feel like Candace was the one that shot the most arrows recently, sending a thug over to rough up her mom, coming to the house pretending to be all cordial and polite, and then threatening her to her face once again. So guys, especially people in the Candace camp, now once again, this is not a hate video about Candace, but I think that everybody can agree that Candace needs to be the one to initiate a peace treaty, whether it be raising a white flag. Now, don't get me wrong. I think it is very clear that when Hannah sees Candace coming into the hospital with Charles on her arm and Secret Service, she is obviously going to be the one to jump on Candace's case first. Like, what have you done now? You blackmailing him like I said you were, because she did say to Candace's face that you're blackmailing the president, aren't you? Because on TV, Charles is talking about how the recent shooting of Quincy Jr. and prayers and thoughts to the Young family. And Hannah pretty much figured out that, oh my God, she's blackmailing the future president. So I know that Hannah's probably going to be the first one to let her claws out. But I really do hope that Candace takes the high road, or maybe Derek and Charles can intervene as like peacekeepers, because this really isn't the time for that. Not to mention that one could make the argument that if Candace found out that Hannah kicked Benny out of the house, then she would be quick to blame Hannah for what happened. But who knows? We'll just have to wait and see. Trust and believe, I can sit up here and talk for hours about all the possible what ifs, about who's going to try to hit the other first with words and who's going to point the finger at who for what happened. Like, Candace will probably say, what, you kicked my brother out of the house, knowing that the mob was after him, and then he got shot because of you. And then it's kind of like, what? Because you took my child from me, and that's how he got shot. This is all your fault. And then on the flip side, it's like, well, Candace, Warlock was looking for you, and then that led to your own son getting shot. And you could put an asterisk in there, because unbeknownst to any of them, Warlock had Hannah followed, and that's how, he found out where Candace was with her family, leading to the shooting. And then on the other side of that, it's like, well, Candace, you're talking about Hannah's being at fault. But remember, you were going to keep the $45,000 that was your brother's, which would have led to him being killed anyway, because, she didn't even know that was blood money, aka Malone money, to begin with. So once again, this is like, what's that saying? Like the this unstoppable force meets the immovable object. That's literally Hannah and Candace when it comes to these arguments. To be completely honest, even when both of them are wrong, and viewers, we can see both sides of the story, while one side is one way and why the other side feels another sort of way. Like, they're both right, but then they're both wrong too. So that's why I do, to be honest, looking back through some of the older episodes and the scenes between these two, I do like the dynamic. I do feel like it's a bit old. Like, come on, how long are we going to do this thing where they're at each other's throats? Like, if you've been watching The Flash recently, season 5, we're 5 episodes in, and then it's been nothing but Nora sassing Iris, and how long is that going to go on? And, maybe 5-6 episodes total. But with Candace and Hannah, it's been like 5 going on 6 seasons. But really, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you feel like the recent events surrounding Benny, will that possibly, with the help of maybe Charles and Derek, will that possibly bring Hannah and Candace closer? Like, I'm not looking for everything to be mended up in one episode. I don't think it should happen like that. I mean, it doesn't have to be an entire long season plot, but it would be very nice to at least see some steps in the right direction. Like Candace apologizing for what she did, and then Hannah not jumping to conclusions when it comes to Charles, because technically she was right, because Candace was attempting to blackmail Charles, even though she said she would do nothing with the recordings and whatnot that she had, but then flipped the script when Charles revealed his Chucky side and how he really isn't one to be trifled with. But then now, Candace is legitimately all in when it comes to Charles. So we'll just have to wait and see how that turns out. Remember how way back in, I want to say season 3, when Quincy Jr. was in the hospital and I think Candace and Oscar showed up? I think at the time they were in New York, and then Candace got the phone call and needed to go see her son, and then Oscar pretty much canceled everything and went down to Savannah with her. And as soon as they showed up in the hospital, you know, Hannah was quick to jump on her case about how your baby hasn't been in here asking for you, and you're gallivanting around in New York with who's this man you're with now? You sleeping with him? Or what, is she conning you too? Yeah, I mean, technically, given the heat of the situation, I can see why Hannah would be up in arms. I think Oscar even said, like, well, ma'am, I have very good intentions and strong feelings about your daughter. So I would not be surprised if Hannah tries to run up in Charles's face, but the Secret Service gets in the way. I could see that happening. So, but that being said, folks, I want to cut this video right here because once again, I can go on and on about this scenario, but just let me know you can give me a simple yes or no. And actually, you know what? I actually have a $10 Walmart card because one of the winners wasn't able to get in contact with me from my recent contest. So 2 out of the 3 winners got their $10 card. The other person was unfortunately unable to send me their information. So I do have a $10 Walmart card in my possession. And this giveaway, let's say it will end on, what's today? Thursday? So this video might be up on Friday. Let's say this contest will end on November the 20th. Basically, I will pick one winner in the comment section below. Just tell me yes or no. Do you feel like Candace and Hanna will grow closer because of Benny being shot? You can tell me how you think it will happen, why you think it won't happen. Do you think Charles and Derek will play a part in these two mending their relationship? Pretty much, you know, just go crazy in the comments. You can let me know your full thoughts. I'll pick the best answer. So obviously the most detailed answer will most likely win. So with that being said, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe if you haven't done so already, and I'll talk to you all soon.